I'm ready.
So I thought today what we would talk about is why middle-aged and above women focus on their limitations as opposed to their achievements. And the reason that I decided that this was a great topic is this morning one of our coaches asked the question, what have we achieved in the last couple of weeks of doing the same exercises, and what type of improvements, results are you seeing? And the default answer was quite interesting. It was, I'm struggling to lift overhead. I'm still struggling with that. So it was that negative response as opposed to, oh, here's all the things that I'm noticing. And so I thought it was a great idea to maybe just delve into this little deeper and take a closer look at why we possibly don't focus on our accomplishments and why we have that negative focus. So firstly, I just want to ask you the question, if someone asked you how you were improving, would you go the negative route, or would you start searching for what's improved in your workout?
I would go the positive route.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And, I think that's probably from years of, back to when I very first started doing strength training. There was no time limit on what I could do. So I just focused on the now.
Yeah.
Being in that moment. Okay, great. I got out 5 push-ups today. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
Rather than I only got out 5 push-ups today.
Yes. Okay. And so it was at that point that I jumped in during that conversation and I said, okay, from my perspective, like I've been doing these workouts with you, here's some of the things that I've noticed about myself. And I said, so much so that even when I was doing a PT session this week, one of the ladies actually said, you look like you've trimmed down. And it wasn't that I had trimmed down, definitely my body shape has changed. I said, yeah, my body fat, my body composition is definitely different. And I'm noticing lots of things that I can do that I possibly couldn't have done a few weeks back. And so, as you know, we have our young grandchildren now living with us full time. And it was like, can you give me a piggyback ride? And I'm thinking, 34 kilos. And I went, oh, this will be interesting. And, I could do it. And kids are dead weights when they're sleeping. And I can still lift that 34 kilos and move them from one bed to the next where they've fallen asleep. And I know that, Paul can't do that anymore. That's a real struggle for him, because he is that little bit older than what I am. So it's so important that we do maintain that strength, but it's really important that we acknowledge how much we have progressed as well too when we start these things. So
definitely.
I thought one of the reasons could be that we're ingrained with this modesty, let's call it, mindset, that we're not supposed to brag on our accomplishments, and that could be just our cultural upbringing. And so we see ourselves as big noting ourselves, as opposed to I have actually progressed in some way, that it's a great thing and I should celebrate about that.
Yeah. Humility. We're all brought up with, be humble. As you said, don't brag about everything that you do.
Yeah.
But it's a big, that's a big difference. Being proud of what you're accomplishing to bragging to everybody.
A huge difference. And I don't even think it is about being humble, because it's something that we've achieved. And I was listening to something the other day, and it was like, how many friends have you got that you can ring up, and they're the friends that when everything's going wrong, that you're talking to those friends all the time and they're only there for the negative stuff. When the positive stuff's happening, you don't think to pick up the phone and say, hey, this has gone on in my life.
Yeah.
So it is that cultural norm that we don't celebrate ourselves. And I don't know that it's just limited to ourselves being aging women. I think it's across the board as well too.
Oh, absolutely. I see it in my son, Quinn.
Yeah.
He plays football and he's won awards over the years, and he's very humble about that. But, I'll brag and tell everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're allowed to do that. The second thing that I came up with, Sal, was perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So we think that if we're not doing it perfectly, therefore we haven't achieved anything. We've got these extremely high standards for ourselves and we feel inadequate if we've not achieved those high standards.
Yes. The thought is that I'm starting at A, I should be at B. But everybody forgets it's progress.
Yes, absolutely.
In between A and B, there's progress that you have to go through to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
We have a goal in our head. It's like when we want to lose weight. Okay, I want to lose 20 kilos, and then it's like, oh well, I'm just not losing it quick enough. I should have lost 20 kilos in a week. That's not going to happen ever.
No,
it's progress. It's what you put into it.
Yeah, totally. The third thing that I came up with was that negative bias. I think humans are naturally wired to focus on negative experiences rather than those positive experiences. And what we want to do, and I think that's because of survival. And it can be very hard because that's just who we are as humans.
Mm-hmm.
We're hardwired for that negative bias. So what we want to try and do is pick up those negative biases that we have and try to turn that around a little bit and start to focus on what have I done?
Mm-hmm.
What have I achieved?
Mm. And we see it so often in the studio. If we do an AMRAP or we, give them reps and how many sets are you going to get out in 25 minutes? And, the default answer is, I only got. They put in that only.
Only. Mm-hmm. Or just.
Take that out. Yeah, I just did this. Yeah. Take that out. That doesn't need to be in there. I got out 12 sets. I got out 4 sets. Does not matter because you did something.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the other reason could have been immediate recall as well too. That could be a struggle to think about what have I progressed with when you're being asked that question on the spot and you haven't had time to actually think about it. And so sometimes it can be, particularly with our memories going a little bit as we're aging as well too, it can be a little hard to recall something. And I see it in my grandkids. They even find it a little bit hard to recall what's happened during the course of the day because at dinner time, it's like, what was a win today? We talk about, and then we talk about, was there anything that challenged you today? And what was your highlight today? And so you can see these little cogs going. And then when someone gets it, they go, oh, I know. So the hand goes up, they think they're at school, but they're not. So it is an interesting thing that we all struggle to have that immediate recall when it comes to thinking about what things have I noticed that I've progressed with as well too.
Yeah, definitely. The past few weeks haven't been good for me, and I think if you are having, when you have things that come up that are challenging you, that's what your focus is because you're trying to fix those things. So when someone says to you, what positive thing happened to you today? Oh, I don't remember, because my focus is fixing that negative.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a bit of an odd one, but I thought maybe fear of complacency. So worrying that acknowledging the progress is going to therefore mean that you're going to feel like next month, for example, that it's going to be easier, and you may therefore be complacent about it, and it might hinder any further improvements for you.
Yes.
So you're going, okay, well, if I put my hand up and I say, these are all the things that I've progressed with, that I'm seeing these successes with, then therefore next month, there's going to be that level of expectation that I'm going to see all of these things all over again. And so, but it's not the case, because, at a certain point, we'll get to a certain stage and then we won't see as much. It's like when you get fitter, it's harder to get your heart rate up. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, you've got to work harder, and that can also come down to complacency, but also fear.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
This month has been hard with progressing, and I've got where I wanted to go. Is it going to be this hard again next month? I'm scared. What if it's harder?
Possibly.
Yes.
Because I know what's coming up next month. And then I thought the final one that I wrote down was comparison trap. So if there's other women in the session, which there were, it was a group environment. So we're thinking, well, hang on a minute. If I say this, I might be celebrating something that somebody else thinks, oh, that's not much at all. But that's not the case. It's about recognizing your individual achievements. So we really need to stop comparing ourselves to somebody else.
And also being in competition with other people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And stop worrying about what other people think, because half the time they're not thinking about you anyway. They're not watching you in a training session. What they're doing is focusing on themselves.
Yeah. And you know what our ladies in the FITFlex's community are like, because all they do is cheer each other on anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because they celebrate any achievements that anybody else has had, and they feel the pain of when anybody's going through a loss, as an example, as well, too. So they're very empathetic and very understanding.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wonderful thing about aging as well, too, that we are more in tune with other people. And that comes with the different experiences that we've had during life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you could think of that we might add to that list?
The only one was the competition, being in competition with other people. And as you said, the comparison trap. If I get on there and I say that I can lift, 6 kilos over my head, is someone in there going, oh, I can lift heavier than that, or stop bragging about it because I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. When we were talking about, so this morning's session was we were lifting lighter weights, and based on where the ladies have started, we've said your lighter weights are 1 or 2 kilos. But I had Sue ask the question, what size weights did you use? And, there were some of us using 3 and 4, because no longer is 1 and 2 a lighter weight for us. We're using those heavier weights. So that's not saying that if you're still using 1 and 2s, that you haven't progressed as much. What it is saying is that we are all individuals and we are all where we're at right now. And that progress is going to show up in different ways for each one of us. Yep.
And it's not necessarily going to show up in the studio or in your workouts or in the gym. It's going to show up in your everyday life. Like you said, you know, picking up your 34-kilo grandchild.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I thought we might try, Sal, and talk about how we might break this cycle of defaulting to our limitations and try to change it around so that we can celebrate our achievements. So the first thing I came up with was mindful reflection. So no matter how small, just keeping a fitness journal and tracking those improvements. Yes. And as you said, it doesn't have to be lifting heavier. It certainly can be how you're feeling, or it certainly can be something very different to that. So anything else to add on reflection and keeping that fitness journal? Because I know that you're a big fan of that.
Yes. Keep in mind that mindful reflection isn't just, 15 minutes writing in your journal. It is.
No.
But you can also be mindful in your workout and reflect on what you're doing in your workout.
Yes.
And as I said, example is push-ups. If you can't do push-ups, Monday I did 3 push-ups. Wow, okay, yep, that's good. Wednesday, okay. Today, Monday I did 3. So today I'm going to add in 2 more push-ups. Yay, I did it. That's progress. But that's also being mindful in your workout and reflecting on what you have done, what you're going to do today.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, this mindfulness or this body connection that we talk about constantly in the workouts is just so important, because we see that showing up in, if we're doing a front squat, it's like my lower back's sore, and we're trying to get the ladies to be more body aware, to engage those stabilizing muscles, because what happens is over the years we're tending to sit a little bit more, and those core muscles are probably not as strong as they used to be, particularly because we've gone through menopause. That can affect the connectivity in those muscles in our pelvic floor region as well too. So all of those things can create this limitation for us. And so it means we've got to work a little harder on our stabilizing muscles, because we might see things like, we're a little bit wonky, and some of the exercises like 2 are very, very focused on stabilizing that we're doing this month. And I've noticed myself, I'm going to the park with the grandkids and we're going to the climbing and the balance bars, and I'm just nailing it, Sal. And I'm not bragging there. I'm just like, I'm going, yes, look at me. I can do this with the 7 and the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So, that mindfulness is so, so important.
So important. And talking about those stabilizing muscles, this is a conversation that I had this morning in the studio as well, because we're always telling our ladies to engage their core.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, engage your core. It's not about abs. It's not about obliques. It's about stabilizing muscles and being able to continue to move, and your lower back is a part of that area. Whether you want it to be or not, it is. So we had that conversation this morning, and I said to the ladies, think back to when it was all, do your Kegels in the car, bring your belly button in, stabilize those, engage those core muscles, even if you're driving, doing the groceries, watching TV, all those sort of things.
Or even like we are right now, we're sitting here, you can definitely I'm sitting up tall. I'm using my stabilizing muscles to do that. But watch what happens when I just release.
Mm.
You know,
And you can feel them release. Yeah.
You can feel them release. Yeah, I'm slumped down. My chest isn't upright. It's not out there. It's down. My whole body is in a different position, and that's going to impact how I breathe as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Yes. The third thing about breaking the cycle, the second thing about breaking the cycle that I thought about was reframing the question. So as coaches, we can put this back on us. Instead of asking, what have you noticed? What we can do is say, what's one thing you can do now that you couldn't have done when you started?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is just simply us being more attuned with what women will respond to when we're actually speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a positive question will get you a positive answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think then we just have to encourage those and celebrate those small wins and create that culture as well too, so that when we're working out in that group environment, we are celebrating someone who's done something absolutely perfect, or that we've noticed someone who has improved in one area, and we will notice that as well too. And so that is up to us to therefore celebrate those wins, because if you're not going to do it for yourself as a coach, we can do it for you. But then we have to think about how are you going to receive that celebration as well too. It's like, oh, please don't, make me the person in the center. I don't want to be that center of attention. So it's also encouraging you to accept that celebration that we're giving to you at that point as well too.
Yeah. And if you're not one to celebrate in public, celebrate with your grandkids. They'll always dance with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess what I did today? And they'll be, yay!
Oh, good job, Nan. Good job.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think the other thing, Sal, that I thought about was, we celebrate the ladies by sharing success stories. But, you can be of service. You can help somebody else by actually sharing what you have achieved with somebody else, because that other person may very well be struggling with that thing that you're struggling with that you've just achieved. And so it's like, oh, okay, Roz did that, so therefore I can do it. And I understand the story that she's telling me. I resonate with that. I could start that way. I could definitely see how that would work for me. Or I could see how I might adjust that process to work for me.
Yeah. In the story, Roz has just ended up being your inspiration.
Oh, absolutely, she has been.
So if you're sharing your stories and you're sharing your progressions and your wins and your celebrations, you are inspiring people out there.
Yeah, and you may not want to be that inspiring person. That may not be you. But if you think about it's helping somebody else, because we all want to help somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's human nature. So
it's
therefore,
human nature.
So if we think about it from that perspective, it means that we won't feel a little uncomfortable with it.
No.
The other thing that I came up with is just thinking about your personal growth as well. So, emphasize that you have progressed as opposed to comparing yourself with other people, as opposed to what have I learned. And I did hear something the other day, Sel, and it was about having the student's mind, which I really like this a lot, because when you're a student, you know that you're there to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So if we went to a workout and we knew that we were approaching it as a student, then we're there to learn, and therefore we see some level of growth and development in what we're doing.
Yeah. Go in as a beginner.
Yeah, absolutely. The final thing I came up with is just practicing that positive self-talk. Think about if a friend rang you and told you about their celebration, what would you do? You'd be going, oh, that's so fabulous, Sal. I'm really, really so happy for you. You should be super proud of yourself. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
And by doing that and focusing on how I might do that with a friend, I can then take that and bring it into how I might focus on myself and practice that type of talk with myself as well too.
Yeah. Drop out all the negative words. Even as you're saying them, you can pull them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think my final thoughts on it, Sal, if we can shift that focus from limitations to achievements and celebrations, it's going to boost our confidence and our motivation. And look, I would like $1 for every time I've heard a woman say, I need help with motivation. It is just, I think it's just number one. It just comes through. You know, we've just had a few more people join our free group, and we always ask the question, what's the biggest challenge you have right now? And it's like motivation. I just looked at that before I came in today to do this recording with you, and I just thought, wowza, it just keeps coming up. So it's a big one, isn't it?
It's a huge one. It's a huge one.
Yeah. So if we're shifting ourselves from thinking about it negatively to positively and celebrating ourselves, then that's going to give us that little lift and that boost to keep going, and that motivation just continues to flow through as well too.
Yes.
So anything you want to finish up with, Sal?
I want to go back to your mindfulness that you're talking about with your journal, ladies. When you see that progress and how far you've come, write in those positive words next to it.
Yeah.
Because then you can go back and when you are feeling a little bit, I'm just not getting anywhere, you can go back, see how far you've come, and you will also be reading those words on how you felt at that time on achieving those things.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that we spoke about the other week, Sal, was embracing your inner child. So go get yourself a book of stickers, go get your coloring pencils out, and, draw pictures and all sorts of things. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
It just makes you feel so much better as well, too. And I think the most important thing about this is that it is not bragging. It is part of our personal growth, and it is about self-appreciation. And all of those things are okay to do.
Yes. Perfect.
Thanks. Perfect. Yeah, perfect way to finish up. Thanks for joining me, Sal.
Thanks for having me, as always.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us, ladies. We're going to say goodbye now, and we're going to leave you with this. We want you to celebrate a win with us. So post it below and let us know what you've achieved this week. All right. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.